Today I want to talk about Jesus and his disciples, also known as the believers. The Bible says in the 6th chapter of John and the 18th verse that the sea arose by reason of a great wind that blew. In other words, a storm blew in and blew in fast. As the disciples was on their way to Capernaum or to their destiny and purpose, a storm came. And after a day of miracles, being excited about life, about ministry and their future, to now being in the middle of a storm, feeling fear, anxiety, and frustration is how many of us feel when we've accomplished something wonderful in our lives, experienced prayers answered, and felt the presence of God, to all of a sudden be hit with financial problems, losing a job, a negative prognosis from a doctor's visit, a loved one that has decided they don't want you no more, or many other scenarios, a storm. These were men that were hanging out with the living God, but when the storm came, they panicked. Just like believers that go to church every Sunday, but still experience fear. The Bible says, and it was now dark, and Jesus was not come to them. They didn't have ships with electricity and spotlights back then. And Jesus, the light of the world, was not physically around at that time to ease their mind. Sometimes God hesitates and shows up a little later than we expect, just like Jesus did Lazarus, and allow our situations to get worse, and in some cases, even die. Not because he doesn't love us or because he doesn't care, but because he's sovereign and he knows the plans that he has for us. And he's able to raise up our dead situations. The truth of the matter is we're lost and hopeless without Christ, but we can do all things through Christ. Here comes Jesus. Isaiah, the 9th chapter and the 6th verse calls him mighty God. Here comes Jesus, the mighty God, walking on the water, assuring the disciples that he had their back. Then the Bible says they willingly received him in the ship. Sometimes God allows us to go through the storm or adversity to build our faith, our endurance, to make us susceptible to his plans for our lives. And then, like the disciples, we are willing to let him in our lives and let the Lord guide us. Then the Bible makes this amazing statement, and immediately they were at the land. Sometimes we try to accomplish our purpose through the flesh with our own willpower. But when we allow Jesus in the ship, when we allow God to take control, before we know it, we're at our destiny and purpose immediately.